Just one more quarterfinal heat to establish. It will be decided by this battle between Steph Gilmore and Sage Erickson, the 6-time world champ out there wearing red. Sage Erickson will be in the blue. The winner of this heat taking on Tyler Wright in quarterfinal number 4. Ronnie Blakey with Ross Williams. Ross, a prediction of how this heat might play out. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. We got to go with Steph, don't we? I mean, I know Sage has the 2-0 matchup with her, which is definitely pretty cool. But again, I think that's if you had that stat, you might not want to even tell Stephanie about it, because that would give her more fire under her belly.
Yeah, Steph has looked really focused, more psyched, I think, for a big result than maybe we've seen her before. She kind of has had some cruisy years where she's just surfed her way into big results without really looking too psyched. But this year, really psyched, but the results haven't come yet during the break. Sage got started early again with a solid number.
There we go, 7.17. So Sage, that's her brand of surfing right there. A couple of really nice, clean carves. Maybe it could even went excellent had she finished that thing off. But for Steph, you know, I honestly don't think she's going to get too ruffled here.
And she wants to turn the attention onto her performance now and bet at Sage's 7.17. A good-looking wave here. She drops to the bottom. Clean bottom turn. And the top turn just as solid. Bashing the lip and heading down the line now. This way's going to shut out Steph and not give her an end section to hit, but two pretty decent turns there.
I liked it, and she pushed really hard on the tail overboard with both those turns. A lot of torque, a lot of pressure. Be interesting to see how the judges kind of fit that in with the scale, being that they dropped a 7 for Sage, who had more of a kind of a cruisy long carve. Pushed hard right there. And she pushed so hard, she almost lost control for a second. She kept it tidy, but a no finish for her. That wave closed out on that shallow chunk of reef. That'll sting for Steph a little bit because she had a nice start. Maybe bulking up a little bit and you know, being able to rip through those chops that we see on the water.
Well, she's about to put her best number up, but it's not as good as Sage's first ride, a 6.5. So Erickson still in the lead. Steph Gilmore, she doesn't need much to get in front, but Sage is holding priority. She'll get her next pick of the sets.
Girls have been ripping all day.
Have a look at Sage Erickson again, getting the inside position on her rival to start the heat and putting a good number on the board.
Again, we've been talking about who's in better rhythm out there. Definitely Sage with that first 2 turns. That was a really nice wave. And just coming unstuck on that finish. But still, she was able to garner a 7.17 and basically a turn and a half here. So this actually is an encouraging score for Stephanie. She knows she didn't get that last maneuver right before the rocks. So for her, she's saying, hey, bonus, 6.5. I only did a turn and a half. So that's going to be encouraging for her.
Definitely one of my favorite surfers to watch back in the day.
That's a great story brewing right there. It'd be cool to see her get back into the CT, but you know, QS is tough these days.
Definitely. Well, have a look how close this heat is at the moment. Sage Erickson has the lead. And she is out there with priority 2 at the moment. So she's in a great position here to dish up another round 4 victory over Steph Gilmore. But during the break she had this wave, Ross, and it didn't do much.
Well, you can see Sage just on the hunt for some company for that 7.17. We've seen it a lot from her. She has quick starts and starts to sizzle, so she still has a lot of time left.
Wow. Just during the break.
At least we're both unison with that grunt. Sorry, folks, but that turn was that good. I see every now and then you'll see a performance where it separates the 2 athletes in the water, and I'm sorry, but that's borderline untouchable for Sage. She is going to push so hard on her tail block. Now she leans back. That's what we call a drop wallet right there, and she carves out of it, Ronnie. So I showed that she had not only control, but a ton of speed and torque. Wow, that was an absolute pleasure to watch.
And there is a big priority blunder from Sage Erickson. So one of her first real big mistakes here at Margaret River.
You know what? Keep on that little bit longer board, the step up, and I think it paid off in a big way, because on those, you know, with the wind and that little bigger wave, as you see now Sage trying to answer back here.
Bang! Big solid first turn from Erickson. She needs more out of this wave though. Well, not a lot of speed for the float at the end of that ride, but the first turn was solid. She's now doing the rock ramble on the inside. And she'll jump up onto the back of the ski here, out the back. Steph Gilmore on that slightly longer piece of equipment, really starting to find her flow out here at the moment and going all out on the end section. Just 2 turns, the first. Big, beautiful slice. The second, just losing contact with her equipment.
You gotta admire Steph's aggression. She went to tag that last maneuver right there. You know, she did not hold back, but she is leaving the door a little bit open. She only has a 6.5 as backup right now. Pretty solid snap right there. I like how it's different, a little bit of a mix up there with that 12 o'clock approach, but not the strongest finish. So you know, I can't see this breaking into the excellent range. Really stepping on the gas here again, staying aggressive. There's that lean back hack. She kept that flow down the line, so she was on the way to an easy, excellent score. Just needed to finish off that tag, but came unstuck, just pushing a little too hard.
Well, if you're in the right position, then that wave almost held open enough for a tube on the takeoff. It's always just a crying shame when you see a wave go through unridden in the competitors area. But these surfers know what kind of ride they want. The Sage tapping into a pretty decent wall here. On that step-up equipment, goes to that big committed carve to start, but again, only has 2 opportunities to collect points and falls on the second.
I was curious that Stephanie gave that wave to Sage. It was a nice wave, even though it was in the set, it was really clean. Had she pinned that last move and rode out of it, you know, it's not out of the question. She could have got the 7.67, so kind of a risky move there from Stephanie, letting her go.
So Sage has upped her score and narrowed the requirement with her previous ride with that frontside snap and the float to finish on the inside, 7.57.
First turn is really nice, digs in. So a little more grunt from Sage, we like to see that. I thought she had that. She kind of floated the boat, but again, we talked about it a lot today. It's deep then shallow, and it creates this really punchy, tough kind of explosion. It's not really good for your flow. It stops you in your tracks, and that's exactly what happened. Really, really cool at some point.
Well, there is no doubt that both these competitors are laying down some good turns at the moment. Sage throwing some high-risk maneuvers. Steph Gilmore just putting some real power onto the tail of her board and drawing out her calves. But there has been a couple of little funky follow-up moves from Steph after those big opening turns.
That was another example of her taking a peek at the bricks right when she's trying to finish that wave off. You saw her looking over her shoulder, trying to kind of gauge where she might break a fin off on the reef. You can't blame these competitors. It's just a sketchy way to finish the wave, but these first 2 turns, damage done, Ronnie. I mean, that was a nice torque at the end of that last snap. And again, I think she got stuck between maneuvers. She went for like a mini tail slide to an extension, and then she got all that weight stuck on her heels. Even though I just said, you know, I don't care what they do if the surfer makes some mistakes, as long as they perform really great at one point in a wave, I like that, reward it. But at the same time, every wave has a number on it, and if you surf it to the max, you should be able to get that 9 or 8 or whatever the max is.
Well, this wave already starting to cap. And this is Erickson's chance. She needs to really commit to this first turn. Nice drawn out carve. Not super explosive. Second turn is strong. That wave starts to really bottom out. She gets out of there. 1.5 minutes remaining.
Pretty nice carve there. Opening maneuver for Sage. Decent second one, but obviously she's going for a 9.53. That's a big score. And with the way the clock is grinding down right now, it's you know, it's looking pretty grim for Sage. Beautiful surfing though from Stephanie Gilmore. I mean, this is all about how Steph just really ripped apart her waves. This is a nice wall though. Still pretty offshore here, clean face. Got hung up just for a second. It's strong offshore out there. Very smooth off the lip. But again, you know, if she's gonna try and get that 9 something, she has to go big.
Which could see her holding on to her place in the top 10 going in the event in Brazil.
Yeah, should be stoked. It's a solid result. And for Stephanie, you know, another shot over the bow. For Courtney, for Carissa, she is back.
Well, we saw Steph just come out in the first event on the Gold Coast and put together the highest heat score total. She was definitely one of the surfers to beat, but Tyler Wright had her measure in the quarterfinals. She came up against Carissa down there at Bells Beach in the quarters again. And now we're going to see her take on Tyler in the quarters for the second time this year.